Our Future of the Game special feature, because it's the final show of 2014, we wanted to take a look back and a look to the future all in one segment. And the way we are going to do that, is by looking back at the World Cup. From Monday, July 14th, 2014, World Cup was biggest social media event ever, according to Facebook. Brazil's World Cup was the biggest social media event on record, involving 350 million Facebook users worldwide, the company claimed, as it made strides into the so-called real-time market dominated by Twitter. People increasingly are using the social networks to comment on global events seen on television. Like the month-long soccer tournament won by Germany on Sunday. Caller, we'll be right with you in a second. But figures obtained by Reuters showed that the 350 million users generated a record Facebook conversation with 3 billion posts, comments, and likes. We knew the World Cup was going to be big, but this level of engagement is remarkable, Nick Grudin, Facebook's director of global media partnerships, told Reuters. It was the highest level of conversation around a single event that we have ever measured. Audience is crucial for companies like Facebook, which make money by selling ads to advertisers interested in reaching its 1.28 billion monthly active users. Facebook's record traffic around the World Cup, suggested by Menlo Park, California company, was increasingly used as a platform to discuss events in real time, a segment pioneered by microblogging website Twitter Incorporated. The widespread use of mobile phones that have made social media seemingly ubiquitous helped explain Facebook's record numbers. Germany's 1-0 win over Argentina in the World Cup final was the most commented match of the tournament, with 88 million users and 280 million interactions, the company said. Brazil star Neymar led the ranking of the most talked about player, followed by Argentina's Lionel Messi, Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo, and Uruguay's Luis Suarez. And with 26% of all World Cup interactions, Brazil was the strongest voice in Facebook's biggest conversation ever. The United States accounted for 10% of the posts, comments, and likes, Indonesia 6%, Mexico 5%, and Argentina 4%. Facebook was the global stadium for the 2014 World Cup, said Facebook's Grudin. Now, in terms of, again, looking back at the World Cup, Adidas were looked upon as the real World Cup champions, and there are 12 reasons for that, because Adidas, from July 15th, 2014, after the German victory, team shirts went on sale on the Adidas website for €84.95 each. Within hours, they were all gone, and the company had to fly more in from China. Number 2, Adidas made £1.4 billion from football merchandise last year. That's more than the UK Foreign Office spends on embassies, the USA spends on a stealth bomber, and Chinese tourists will spend on Britain in 2017. Adidas boots dominated the tournament. The company's F50 design was the highest scoring boot with 46 goals, while players wearing Adidas had a 30% higher scoring rate. Not content to be official sponsors of the 2014 World Cup, Adidas also sponsored both of the finalist teams, as well as Colombia, who won the FIFA Fair Play Award. Adidas
and my personal best celebration award.
Oh yeah, I love that. Was good. It was that proper. But also Adidas, who sponsored Lionel Messi, won the Golden Ball, an award sponsored by Adidas, just so happens. German keeper Manuel Neuer won the Adidas sponsored Golden Glove. Colombian James Rodriguez won the Golden Boot, who was sponsored by Adidas as well. FIFA's 11-man team in the tournament included 8 Adidas sponsored players. Adidas's videos published during the World Cup got 38 million views, making it the most viewed sports brand of the event. It was also the most talked about on social media, with 1.59 million conversations across Twitter, Facebook, blogs, and Tumblr. Its hashtag #AllIn, which sounds quite wrong, was the most used brand hashtag on Twitter, with 917,000 hits, while its official Twitter account @Brazuca gained 2.98 million followers to hit 3.49 million. Number 11, every World Cup ball since 1970 has been made with Adidas. And the final reason why Adidas were the real winners, the company has negotiated with FIFA to keep its contract going, including the design of the official ball and the sale of World Cup memorabilia until the year 2030.
Nice.
Now, some other trends, again, looking back in terms of 2014 as a year of trends, looking at Twitter trends. So we've just looked at Facebook and we've looked at Adidas in terms of marketing. Looking at the Twitter trends. The biggest moments, 8 of the UK's 10 most tweeted about moments in 2014 were sport related, actually football. In a year that saw the World Cup and Champions League dominate the major talking points on the platform. The 10 moments that drove the most conversation in the UK in 2014 were, number one, from July 8th, Germany walloping Brazil 7-1 in the World Cup semi-final. So that was number one. Number two, Wayne Rooney making it 1-1 in England's World Cup group game with Uruguay. Number three, England equalising against Italy through Daniel Sturridge in their World Cup opener in Brazil. Number four was the New Year's Eve celebrations from a year ago. Where are we going? Number five, Germany winning the World Cup final on July 13th. Number six was Croatia scoring the opening goal of the World Cup against Brazil. Number seven, Holland thrashing Spain 5-1. Number 8, Real Madrid's late leveler, sending the Champions League final into extra time. Ramos's finish. Man United going 1-0 up in the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich at Old Trafford was number 9 on April 1st. And February 19th, One Direction won Best British Video at the Brit Awards. That was number 10, the 10th most talked about points of 2014. Now, focusing on the World Cup again in particular, with the hashtag World Cup 2014, 672 million tweets, a record number, were sent about this year's World Cup finals in Brazil. So perhaps it's no surprise that 6 of the UK's top 10 most tweeted about moments came during the tournament. Also, 35.6 million tweets were sent during Germany's shock 7-1 semi-final defeat of Brazil, setting a new record for the most discussed live event Twitter recorded, eclipsing the year's Super Bowl of American football. 172,653 retweets for Mario Balotelli when he posted, "If we beat Costa Rica, Italy, I want a kiss. I want a kiss, obviously on the cheek, from the UK Queen," making it the most retweeted message of the World Cup. So if for nothing else, Mario is very good at marketing until recently, where he put his foot in it. But anyway, the most followed sports stars globally, Cristiano Ronaldo is number 1 with 31.6 million. Kaka is number 2 with 21.5 million. LeBron James is 3rd with 16.6 million. Neymar is 4th with 15.5 million. Ronaldinho is 5th with 11.1 million. The most followed in the UK is Wayne Rooney, top with 10.2 million. Rio Ferdinand with 5.9 million. Gareth Bale with 5.6. Andy Murray with 2.8. And Joey Barton with 2.7 million followers, which is quite a surprise.
It must be that philosophy course he's taking.
Yeah, definitely. Premier League in 2014. Fans from around the world discussed the highs and lows of England's top flight action in 2014. The most mentioned players who featured in the Premier League were number 1, Luis Suarez. Number 2, Wayne Rooney. Number 3, Radmel Falcao. Number 4, Alexis Sanchez. 5, Mesut Ozil. 6, Mario Balotelli. Number 7, David Luiz. Number 8, Robin van Persie. Number 9, Cesc Fabregas. And number 10, Sergio Aguero. Now, if the Premier League rankings were determined by mentions of clubs on Twitter this year, rather than the results, the table would read: number 1, Man United. Number 2, Arsenal. Number 3, Liverpool. 4, Chelsea. 5, Man City. 6, Newcastle. 7, Tottenham. 8, Everton. 9th would be Southampton. 10th, Aston Villa. 11, Leicester City. Sunderland, 12th. 13th, West Ham. 14th, QPR. 15th, Crystal Palace. 16th, West Brom. 17th, Stoke. 18th, Swansea. 19th, Hull. And Burnley would be rock bottom in 20th. And those figures were actually correct as of December 1st, 2014. So basically, the source for that was actually the Metro newspaper. So you know what, yeah? A very, very interesting kind of look back on 2014, because at the end of the day, you got looking at those trends. Adidas basically cleaned up. Yep. It basically cleaned up in the World Cup, but the World Cup cleaned up itself in terms of how big a social media event it was. How big it was. But, I want to ask, caller, you are through live with your Monday Night Footballing Fix. Apologies for the delay, by the way, but who have we got the pleasure of conversing with tonight? And would you like to have a say in terms of what we've been discussing about football as a global social media phenomenon?
It's Tom Wood.
Hey, Tom.
You alright?
Yeah, not bad. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm just knackered. I'm just walking home from my mate's house. Just watched the Liverpool game. At his house.
It was a good game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more goals in it, but I thought Swansea were going to come back in it, but obviously they didn't. But I think Bonnie was a bit too quiet on the ball, to be honest.
No.
They got him more on the ball. I think they would have got some more goals, but they obviously didn't. But Fabianski was a bit sloppy as usual. But
yeah.
He's like that as a keeper. He's like that for Arsenal. But it's all good.
Nah, definitely. You know what? Yeah. Did you want to jump in on football as a social media phenomenon? Do you use? I want to ask you the question in particular. In terms of how often would you say you use Twitter and Facebook to talk about football? Every day, every other day?
Well, basically, I don't really use Facebook as much anymore. I usually basically more use Twitter. So it's Twitter I use more than Facebook. I only use basically Facebook just to message my family in Australia. So.
No, I hear that. You know, I want to, Gerald. I want to throw this out to you. I want to throw this to you too. What was your view? What was your view on the World Cup being the biggest social media event ever, and also the trends of 2014 in terms of the UK trends, and also Adidas as well?
I'll be honest, absolutely none of these surprised me whatsoever. You know, I think that when we happen to... So I was just looking at the tweet from Big T. Throw them T's up. Having said that, though, I think, you know, the World Cup is one of those sporting spectacles, much like the Super Bowl, for a comparison, where even if you don't happen to watch the sport, because it's such a grand spectacle, especially the finals, you know, everybody just seems to tune in. You know, everybody seems to be talking about it. Everybody seems to have an opinion. So, you know, when we're talking about freedom of speech and being able to probably type your opinions quicker than you can come up with them, that's what social media, you know, is for at the moment. And it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it is, you know, as the title of the tournament suggests, it's World Cups of the whole world. You know, to quote an old WWF intro, it's what the world is watching.
The worldwide leader is. Oh, I thought you were going that way.
Yeah, no. it's what the world is watching. So, you know, rightfully, that's what the world is going to be talking about. In terms of Adidas, yeah, absolutely cleaned up. I mean, they took everything they could. They went home. Look, they got the match ball. They've got the two kits of the two teams in the finals.
Basically, sponsor all the trophies as well.
Sponsor all the awards. They've got, you know, I mean, you said it was like 8 players in the team of the tournament, of individual sponsorships. It's phenomenal. If you want to look up,
they were sponsoring the winners. They were sponsoring the runners-up. They were sponsoring
third place, I think.
Basically, the whole semi-final. Yeah. You may as well say.
Yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. But it just goes to show, you know, the spending power of Adidas at the minute. I mean, just to put it into some perspective, with Manchester United from next season, Adidas is sponsoring Manchester United. So it just goes to show you, you know, the position that Adidas are in right now. They are literally world leaders. They happen to, as I say, be sponsoring the Champions League finalists and winners 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. So there's Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, for those of you who are trying to catch up with that. So that, again, doesn't surprise me in any way, shape or form. You know, what I'm looking forward to, though, is more tweets from more people about what's going on. Now, in terms of how I happen to use Twitter, when I'm not, you know, doing the live updates with Pitch Talk, obviously I'm keeping an eye on the Pitch Talk live updates, and, you know, I get through all of the interactions through on my mobile devices, so I know what people are saying to Pitch Talk as well. So, you know, if I don't happen to have time to catch a game live, or, you know, I'm listening to it on the radio, say for example with the TuneIn app, and I just want to see what the conversation is generally, you know, I'll have a look at what's being said on Twitter, you know, and follow the conversation. Follow the line of conversation. I might not necessarily be active, but I'll follow it. So, for example, if we want to talk about talking points from tonight and Liverpool Swansea, where Liverpool ran out 4-1 winners, in case you're just joining us now, you know, one of the talking points for me is Raheem Sterling and him raising his hand and slapping that Swansea player.
Should have been sent off for it.
So, that's going to be a talking point, and should have been a talking point tonight, for an example, in that particular game. I'm pretty sure when Raheem Sterling cut his hair, that was quite popular on Twitter.
Just like Tom Huddleston was a talking point when on social network.
So, it doesn't surprise me. I'm looking forward to it being an even bigger and better thing, going into 2015 as well.
I mean, see, with the trends, I mean, you look at the most followed sports stars globally, the top 5, 4 of that 5 footballers.
Yeah.
4 of that 5. And I mean, you're looking at in terms of the 8 of the UK's top 10 most tweeted about moments are football related. Yeah. That is the power of football.
Absolutely.
But with great power comes great responsibility, as the old Spider-Man thing is from Uncle Ben. And it's that, but it's Uncle Ben's. Uncle Ben. I don't know how I remember that one, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know how you remember that one. But no, it's all levels. But the fact of the matter is, it shows the power of football. Yeah. To not just unite people, but engage people.
Absolutely. And you look at, for example, Germany absolutely just taking Brazil out to the woodshed. Yeah. And just annihilating them.
It was an amazing moment, and a lot of people shared it because of social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people shared it, and I said that this is what we love. One of the things that I personally love about football, its ability to bring people together, and it's one of them ones. But the thing that concerns me is that a lot of the powers that be, and a lot of players don't use it in the right way. It's all good having all of this power, but you got to harness it in the right way. Adidas clearly are harnessing it in the right way, because they are getting they're just getting insane amounts. But they're just getting insane amounts of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, 2014, you look at it and it's been, the World Cup has obviously helped, and the thrilling climax to the Premier League season has helped as well. But I think 2014, looking back at it, has been a watershed year. Very much been a watershed year for social media, because it's just absolutely blown up. And at the end of the day, it's a case of, if you have a crap load of fans looking with eyes on football, if you're able to keep even a tenth of the people who tweeted about the World Cup, you've done a great job. So I think it's very very interesting, and with the trends that we've seen as well, it's just amazing.
By the way, I just want to go back to the Raheem Sterling incident earlier. I'm looking at the picture that Paddy Powell posted, right? Yeah. That looks a lot to me like a closed fist. So it wasn't a slap.
All right, oh, have no.
It's a punch. But then I'm looking at the referee's assistant. Right?
Who's looking
how close
right
can
at
you be?
Dude is looking at it and doesn't do anything.
How close can you be? I'm like, look, dude, my glasses aren't strong, okay? If you want to borrow my glasses, you can borrow my glasses.
But he probably had both contact lenses in the same eye. Well, it's one of them. It's one of them ones. It's either you got to be real dumb, or you just got to be real dumb to have seen that right in front of your face and not do anything.
So Raheem Sterling throws a punch, and he's gonna go unpunished.
That's why these rules need to be changed. The rules really do need, a lot of these rules really do need to change. They really do. But you know what? Coming back to the World Cup being a big social media event, and football in general, Russ Vernon, you wanted to jump in on this, and if any of the other Skypers want to jump in, let us know.
Yes, because while I was watching the World Cup, I was mainly talking to people on Twitter. Every now and again, we're talking on Facebook as well to likes of Mike and Tom and Wayne about the World Cup matches, and I think I commented on a couple of your stats as well, if I remember right, back when the World Cup was on. And I must say, mainly the place I talk about football, and I talk about it nearly every single day on Facebook and on Twitter, and I when I'm not watching a match, I converse with fellow Leeds fans on Facebook and Twitter about the match I was playing and where I think things are going wrong for us in the games. And I must say, this past year in football, especially with the World Cup. I actually, earlier today, Liam, the World Cup final between Germany and Argentina, actually saw that game again. It was on the Red Button service earlier today, which I was watching in my bedroom for a bit this morning, and I really enjoyed that game, good end-to-end stuff in that match in the World Cup final, so I decided I might as well watch it again, because where the World Cup was, every time there's no football in the summer, I'm always bored, always looking to find something to do. So every time there's a World Cup on or European Championships on in the summer, I'm looking forward to have a game. And so
what we do want to ask you though, what we do want to ask, like how do you see football and social media working together in the future? Do you see it growing? Has it grown to its apex and it's just going to fall off? Like how do you see it? Because there are a lot of players who are not on social media for a number of reasons. There's kind of a dark side to footballers and social media as well, which we'll probably come to on another show now. But how do you see football and social media growing together? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing that football has this much exposure because of social media?
I think it's a good thing, because if people are not, so like a lot of people who I've got on Facebook are not really interested in football, and if the more people who are not interested see more posts and on Facebook or on Twitter about football, and see photos from the football matches and get the latest information, maybe more people start getting into football, following football teams, checking on results every Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday if there's a game on Tuesday, Wednesday midweek, say Champions League, Europa League, whatever division. Cause there's quite a lot to. I've got a friend of mine, me and Mark know him, Ryan Hunter, they call him. He supports Man City from England, but he's from Scotland, and today he just bought a season ticket for St Mirren. He's not been St Mirren game for quite a while, and he decided to go back today. And he says when he's not been to matches, he's told me he's been following updates on social media, on their Facebook page, on their Twitter feed, and so he keeps following updates via social media. And he says he's growing, and I think more people who follow football via social media, the more people will start watching it. More people, when they get kids around, will take kids to watch football and make them come up with following football, and then they can pick their own team. And if not people like the same team,
well, you know what?
We'll have banter.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people who do. Obviously, we do live updates when we can. Also live commentary, that kind of thing. We know girls on the ball who do a lot of social media related stuff to do with women's football. I mean, I personally think it's a really good thing that football's getting this exposure, and as you said, it's one of those more people getting exposed to the game. I said there is a dark side to it. There is a dark side to it as well, which we will look upon in kind of closer detail another time. But in terms of the positives, I think it's fantastic, because with footballers being on social networks and being on Twitter, like let's take for instance Cristiano Ronaldo, @Cristiano on Twitter. You could potentially be talking to him direct. Robin van Persie, same deal. Joey Barton, Rio Ferdinand. You could be talking to these people. I mean, you look at how we got in touch with John Sitton. For Pitch Talk meets John Sitton. That was through Twitter. And also Vernon Grant as well.
Rainman as well.
Yeah, Sahel, yeah, of course. It's one of them. There are so many people that we've gotten in touch with. I mean, most of the PT family we've gotten in touch. We've gotten in touch with via the social networks. So it's a very, very. I mean, social networking. The social networks and football, it's a very, very interesting. It's an interesting animal, really. For lack of better phraseology. I mean, Jamie Bailey, you wanted to jump in as well. Jamie, did you want to jump in on these points as well?
Yeah. Good evening to everybody, and hopefully you've had a good Christmas and everything.
Hopefully you have as well.
Somewhat something of a Christmas that I had. I won't go into too much detail, but going onto what we're talking about. I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. I think I'm part of the generation that actually don't like everything being out there in terms of talking about it and blah blah blah. I mean, everybody wants to talk about. I think there's too many people trying to put their voices forward and having their say about something, and it's all good for an opinion. But what good is an opinion if you don't do anything about it? And on social, if I've looked at it, Balotelli got in trouble for something that you yourself, Liam, thought was half right and half wrong, whereas most of Twitter and most of Facebook is all open to opinion. I got in trouble for a tattoo on my arm, and that's open to an opinion. One person doesn't like it, so another person has to be told about it. I think there's just too many people that have a whole bunch of opinions and want to put it on a social feed so that they can get clarification on what they believe in. And yes, it's a good thing for a lot of people who don't play football, but at the top level, you're almost, and don't take this in a sexual way, but you're almost gagged. You're almost gagged to the point of you can't speak. You can't say nothing. You can't say nothing, and the worst, you say one small thing, even if you use a swear word on one of your Twitter updates, or even an Instagram update. As soon as somebody sees it from the FA, you're in trouble. And then to me that's not football anymore. That's just basically controlling what you say.
But you know, but staying with the positive though. I just want to ask. Do you think football and social media? Do you think they're the kind of partnership, the synergy? That's what I'm looking for. Do you think the synergy between the two is going to grow? And if it does grow, if it does grow, do you think it's a good thing that it does then?
No, it's going to grow regardless of what I say. Like as I said, I'm not happy about it. But back in the days, you were a footballer who goes to the pub, or you go and see people that you like to see. Nowadays, you can't do that. You have to have a certain strict regime. You have to do certain things at certain times. You aren't just a footballer anymore. You're pretty much the model citizen. And if you're not the model citizen, your contract gets terminated. So, do I like it? As I said, no. If you're saying that if it's expansion is a good thing, it's going to happen anyway. So, what is my opinion on it? Nothing. It's going to happen. The fact that Adidas have got their claim to fame on pretty much everything this year, well done to them. And as you can see, it's filtered through the Football League in England, because pretty much a lot of clubs have now got an Adidas kit or a Nike kit in the Football League, in most of the Football League teams. And the ones that don't, you can see how much money that they really have, because they're starting to struggle. But in general, I just don't think it's a good thing just to have a Twitter a social feed as a footballer or as a coach, because you're only going to get the same results. Whereas as a person who just is a fan, you can say whatever you want to a striker, to a player, and what can he say back? Nothing. Whatever he says is scrutinised, regardless of whether he plays or whether he doesn't. So there are good things and bad things. There's a lot more perks to it as a fan than there is as a player or a coach.
But you know, we had Mike Harneman. You wanted to jump in as well.
Yeah. Basically, I'm kind of agreeing a bit with Russ and a bit with Jamie as well. I'm kind of in the middle here. Like, I think it's good for sort of like the younger fans to be able to interact with their idols and their sort of, for want of a better words, their kind of heroes and so on. It's good for the younger fans to be able to interact, but when you get to a certain age and you get like the moronic fans and stuff who will just be out to abuse these players and like or coaches or whoever it is, you will get that kind of part of it as well. So that's why I'm kind of partially agreeing with Jamie as well, if you know what I mean.
No, I get it. I mean, we've encouraged before when certain players have gotten into spats, Rio Ferdinand, Joey Barton, Mario Balotelli. But I mean, a lot of people, and a lot of entities have gotten into spats with people. Rio Ferdinand has been in trouble a couple of times because of Twitter, and the fact, but we always urge caution with it. I mean, as said, the negative side we will look at on another show because that could take a special feature on its own. But it's a case of sticking with the positives of it. I mean, it does give that instant gratification. Yeah, for lack of a better phraseology. I mean, it's a case of it gives instant gratification. It's like, oh my god, I can talk to someone and get an instant response. And
which in itself really can help because a couple of years back we had Chris Day, who, well, we've still got him now, one of our keepers down at Stevenage, and me and a couple of my mates were looking for tickets to the Tottenham game because somebody had like messed us about. So Chris Day actually on that occasion, via him being on Facebook and us being in contact with him, managed to sort us out and sort of help us out with the tickets.
See, so we've seen that a couple of times as well from a couple of different players. A couple of different players have actually done that. I think. Oh God!
And isn't Stephen Naismith doing something like that up in
Liverpool, donating to the local job centre and that? Yeah. So, I mean, social media can be so. I think it was Tyrone Mings who has done that as well from Ipswich. So it's a case of the social media. On a positive note, the social media can be so good.
No, it's absolutely great. I mean, even last week, thanks to Mr. Russell Vernon, aka @_sports coverage on Twitter.
Yeah.
Didn't we happen to get like a tweet from Jim Beglin?
I mean, Russ tweeted to Jim Beglin, listening to his show.
And it's like, well, like
whether he listened or not, I don't know, but hopefully he did.
No, but I'm like, realistically, when were we ever gonna think that Jim Beglin was gonna send us a tweet? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, Jim, if you want to do a Picture Talk meets, holla at your boys. That's all I'm saying.
Fantastic. I mean, it's one of them. I mean, Wayne Schumann wanted to jump in on this point as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of half and half of it. I mean, I think social media is good. It's got its positives, but got its negatives as well. But just what Mike said about Chris Day, I mean, he owned a pub down the road in Stevenage as well. So like a lot of fans used to go in there. Like when Stevenage won the league in the conference, got promoted. They had a big celebration party down at the pub that he owned. And, like all the players were there and talking to fans, and like Stevenage used to hold a thing every month at the end of every month where the fans could go down to the local clubhouse, meet all the players and that, and like if the results weren't going our way, the fans could have their inputs and things like that to try and help the team push forward. And I think clubs should do that more as well. Like a local clubhouse, have a few select fans go down there, and because obviously they're all tickets and that. But I mean, Stevenage used to do that a lot, and I think that really helps with the thing. But social media, I know a lot of players get in trouble for things they say, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're only human, and people make mistakes, but because they're big time footballers, they get it harder. A lot more like with the posting things up.
I mean, it's one of them. As I said, there were a lot of positives, and I said I think 2014 was very much a watershed year in terms of, and also it was a watershed year in terms of somewhat regulating, or at least trying to self-regulate the social networks as well. Because there are some people, of course, who go too far. I said we'll hit that dark side at some point. But there are a lot of people who have positive stories with the social networks. And hey, we've had our successes on the social networks in 2014 as well. So it's I think it's good. I do think it's very, very good. And I said 2014 was a good year for football and the social networks their synergy. Long may it continue. Long may it continue.